Okay, folks, Michael J here. How you guys doing? Everybody doing well? Let's hope everybody's doing well. Of course, everybody should be doing well. So what we're going to do here today is we're going to start off with a showcasing of the Marseille. Marseille. It's a French Tier 10 cruiser. The new French Tier 10 cruiser line, top of the line, Tier 10. So, who's going to present this to you is going to be Sea Lord Mountbatten, because, of course, I'm going to present my own actual use of the ship later. So, Sea Lord Mountbatten is going to be showcased here. He's a YouTube contributor and World of Warship contributor. So, any questions, concerns? Let me know. Post in chat. If you watch it later, comments section. And in the interim, just enjoy, please.
Hello, good people of YouTube. Mountbatten here. And today we have the brand new Tier 10 Techline French battlecruiser in-game to review for you guys today, in port to review for you guys today, and that is the Marseille. So with the release of update 11.6 a few days ago, the French battlecruiser tech tree became fully researchable, and the Marseille was released. Before we go any further, however, big shout out to the channel's Patreons for making this review and all ship reviews possible. These guys donate generously on the Patreon to support the channel and ship reviews. It is the best place to support the channel besides just watching the videos and streams. I'm not a CC nor affiliated with Wargaming in any way, shape, or form. So all these ship reviews, I have to purchase the ships myself or research the ships myself. The case here of the Marseille, and the Patreons make that much, much easier. So big thank you to those guys whose name should have appeared up on screen right there a few seconds. And now, the Marseille. As always, especially with these newer ships, even these newer Techline ships, look at all the details on the ship that the art department and the modeling guys put on. It is beautiful. The ship is beautifully rendered. Looks really good in the lighting too, in the super foggy London port. There is a helicopter flying overhead, speaking of smog. But anyway, so the Marseille, the Tier 10 French battlecruiser. I've seen quite a few of these in-game. Haven't taken mine out just yet. Been too busy playing the Duncan still. But yeah, let's take a look at this thing and see how she performs today. Alright, so starting off with, no commander modules, no economic bonuses. What? They are applied? Oh yeah, I got the, I did pick up the permanent economic bonus for the ship. So that one has been applied. But yeah, no commander, no module skills, no commander skills. No commander skills nor modules have been equipped. So let's go ahead and take a look at the Marseille. Alright, so for its armor, she has a 25mm bow. That's pretty decent compared to the other French cruisers. 30mm upper belt, a 210mm main belt, 200mm lower belt, and her torpedo protection is 30 as well. 25mm stern, 25mm stern deck, I'm assuming 25mm bow deck, yep. Midsection is 36. That's a little nicer, but still larger caliber HE is going to go right through that. Wargaming did state that these whole French battlecruisers' weaknesses were HE, and that's very prevalent here with the armor. I mean, you know, giant slatted 30mm on the side, 25mm bow. You're going to see lots of ships at Tier 10 that can just pin this even without IFHE. And her citadel is... ooh, almost below the waterline. Looks like it's just at the waterline. And you do have this turtleback protection coming down on top of it. So that is nice. Saxophone guy still absolutely at it in the London port. Okay, so it looks like it'll be pretty well protected against cruisers. But of course, anything with large guns looks at you and you're going to fill it. But it is still French armor, so there's a good chance for some trolliness to go on there with some of the internal armor bits. Survivability, she has 66,950 hit points. Very healthy for a cruiser. Keep in mind this is in a cruiser slot, not a battleship slot like the Royal Navy and German battle cruisers. So that is a very healthy cruiser that's around a tier 8 battleship's HP pool. 25% torpedo damage reduction though, which isn't fantastic. But I mean, for a cruiser it's good. For a cruiser it's good. But if you're looking at this like a battle cruiser battleship, that's not that great. But again, it's in a cruiser slot. So you get 3x3, not quad guns, but triple guns of the 330mm caliber. These reload in 24 second space, have a 36 second 180 time, maximum dispersion 213 meters at 19.6 kilometers. HE does a maximum damage of 4,800, 35% chance of causing a fire on target per shell, 55 millimeters of HE pin, and 85 meters a second initial velocity for the HE shells. AP shells have a maximum damage of 9,700 and come out the tube at 870 meters a second. That's quite nice. Nice fast shells here. Of course, it's the French shells. They're always pretty fast. If it's like the other ships in the line, she should have some pretty flat shell arcs too, which should make this ship fairly comfortable shooting at other cruisers and even DDs when you need to, which is always good. And of course, it's also great for punching through battleship armor at close range, that combination of high velocity and flat shell arcs. So, yeah. And they're also, of course, in the Baguette Nelson configuration. I don't know if turret number 2 can 360. I haven't taken the ship into battle yet, but if that can, that's going to be a nice plus for the Marseille here. And yeah, I am surprised they didn't go with the quad turrets. I mean, obviously that would give this ship 12 guns in the front. That might have been a little bit too much, honestly, but 9 guns in the front's pretty nice. Secondary guns, you got 1,239mm guns. And then you also have 1,239mm triple guns here. The secondaries you load in 6.5 seconds, have a maximum range of 8.3 kilometers, maximum damage of 2,000. And they have a 10% chance of causing a fire on the target, 23mm of HE pin, and those come out the tubes at 840 meters a second. And it's the same for the triples. They're just in a triple turret. Now, these ships are supposed to have, good secondaries with good range, good reload, and good accuracy, but from what we've seen with the rest of the line, it's not really, well, you can't really build into it anyway because it's in the cruiser slot, but yeah, they don't really do too much. A defense is an A rating of 83. You get 18x2 of the 20mm Oerlikons, 18x2 of the 40mm Beaufort. I'm sorry, 8x2 of the 40mm Beauforts. I wish it was 18x2. 2x4 of the 40mm of the quad Beauforts. 6x2 of the 139s. And 4x3 of the 139s as well. So all the secondaries are dual purpose, which is nice. And get you that nice 83 rating here for AA. We'll see how that performs though in game. Top speed base of 33 knots. That's pretty nice. Turning circle of 770 meters and a rudder shift time of 14.5 seconds. That's a pretty long rudder shift time, but this is again a very large cruiser. Consuming a 14.3 base. Okay, that's not terrible. It's should be able to get down pretty low once you get the modules into it. Which, speaking of that, let's go look at her consumables. So she gets a reload booster, which of course cuts the reload time down in half. You get 3 charges of a repair party base, 334 HP per second. Your choice of engine boost or fighter. I mean, why would you pick fighter over engine boost? It's the whole point of the French, well, tech line essentially. Well, tech tree essentially. Hydro or DFAA. Ooh. And I'll probably stick with Hydro though, but you do have some nice choices here. You can mount the fighter if you want. You can, of course, take DFAA if you want, if you're having a bad day with carriers. But I'm probably just going to leave it at it as is right here. Alrighty, I'm going to go ahead and build into this with a commander and modules. I'll meet you guys right back here once that is complete. Alrighty, for the build I went with, for the modules, main armaments mod 1, keep those turrets in the fight. This reduces the chance of those turrets being knocked out or incapacitated. Then I went with damage con mod 1 because the ship's weakness is HE and a lot of it's going to be slung at you, so cutting the chance of getting a fire going is very nice, and this reduces that by 5%. Then I went with aiming systems mod 1 to rein in that dispersion. This decreases dispersion by 7%. Then I
Okay, one thing I got to point out. I have had this ship now for, it's less than a week, obviously, for me. But I just find it butt ugly. Okay? I just want to put that out there. Not the most beautiful ship from my point of view. Your mileage may differ. Let us know in chat, folks. Back to the show. We must go.
Went with Damage Con Mod 2 to cut down the burn time of the ship by 15%. Then we went with Concealment Mod 1 to take that concealment range and get it down as low as possible. And then I went with Main Battery Mod 3 to further reduce the reload time on the guns. I was debating taking the range mod, but we'll see how we can work with a stealth and reload build first, then I might swap that out later on. And for the commander build, we went with Albignon here. And I first took Gunfeeder here because this will allow you to swap back and forth between AP and HE, which both are very viable on these ships from what we've seen with the Brest. Then I went ahead and I took Demolition Expert just because I needed a 2-point skill to go on, and of course getting your fire chance up on a ship that has pretty good reload time and that will need to be using HE a lot to deal with battleships and heavily armored cruisers is a good idea in my mind. Then I would take Adrenaline Rush and then Concealment. Came back around and greased the gears to get that turret traverse speed up in case we have to start running. We don't have any turrets in the rear, so we want the turrets to be able to swing around as fast as possible. Then I went back and took Survivability Expert. Gives you a 500 HP increase per tier, and we're at tier 10, so that's a pretty significant boost. Then went back and took Heavy AP Shells. This is free damage, 5% boost to your AP Shells damage. And then Superintendent, and then you can take your choice of, well, after that you are just left with Last Stand to keep that modules in the fight. Well, keep your engine and steering gears in the fight and cut down on your module restoration even more. Alright, so that's my build here. I'm going to go ahead and take it in the battle. And, oh, I should show you what that does to this ship first, shouldn't I? So, for the survivability, we're now up to tier 9 battleship levels of health with 71,950 HP. And for the guns, they now have a 21-second reload time, a 36-second 180 time, a maximum dispersion of 198 meters at 19.6 kilometers, which sounds pretty nice. Again, we'll see how that works in game. The AP now does 10,185 maximum damage. And then the concealment's down to 11.6 kilometers now, which is very nice, very sneaky for a ship this large. And then the ship speed is up to 34.7 knots with the speed flag. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and go into battle and see how the Marseille does. Alright guys, voiceover Mountbatten here. I apologize about that ruckus you might have heard in the port section. The air conditioning in my house broke in early May, and they weren't able to come fix it until, well, now, the day of recording, which is July 15th. So that's right, from May through now, we've had no air conditioning in this house. So yeah, sorry about that, but I would like it to no longer be 90 degrees inside anymore. But anyway, the Marseille, however you say this ship's name, how is she? Well, I can tell after playing her for quite some time today, she's quite good. She's very good. This is one of the better tier 10 premiums, tier 10 cruisers. In my mind, there's a lot of competition at tier 10 for cruisers. I mean, some nations like the United States and the Soviet Union are pushing 5 or 6 tier 10 cruisers. So, yeah, there's a lot of variety there in the cruiser slot. And this is, I think, one of the better ones out right now. I think it is worth the grind. It plays, I mean, if you've seen the Brest, played the Brest beforehand, it's just more of that. But of course you have one more gun. Now there are some ups and downs of the ship. We're going to go through that as we go through her characteristics now that I have played her. So her armor. The armor is... It's interesting. It's very interesting indeed, because the way that the guns are set up, you would think that this ship would be good for battle tanking, of course, like the Richelieu or the Jean Bart, or any ship with all of its guns in the front of the ship. But just like the Brest, that's not how the ship is meant to be played. What's actually a pretty effective tactic is to angle. and try to bait them into shooting at your main armor belt. I mean, main armor belt is thick enough to where when it is angled, it will bounce anything that is thrown at it. So if you stay sharply angled enough to the enemy team, and you entice them to shoot at your armor belt with AP, that's the way to go in this thing, because if they shoot at you with HE, they're probably going to be doing consistent damage to you thanks to the ship being coated in 30 millimeters or below armor. It is very true that this ship's weakness is HE, not only from fires, but again, the fact that most tier 10 ships will be able to pin just about every part of your ship with HE, so you have to keep that in mind when you are playing this ship. But yes, in the right situation, if you can stay angled, entice the enemy to shoot AP at you, you'll be surviving for quite some time. Another big factor affecting her survivability is her maneuverability. She is a very quick ship once you have her kitted out, once you have the speed flag on, and that engine boost too. That engine boost is fantastic. It gives you a 20% boost to your speed for 180 seconds, which the speed on the Marseille, it gets you into trouble, but it also gets you out of trouble pretty quick. I had several matches where, I'm used to playing either large cruisers that aren't this fast or battleships, so I don't think anything of, going at flank speed for the entire time, and that can get you spotted a little bit early, but thankfully the speed can also get you out of that situation too. But if you pay attention to your speed, use it to your advantage, use it to engage, disengage, it's a great characteristic of this ship. And there's plenty of matches, and I had Abignon on here too, and he has his special commander trait where once you get past, 2 million potential damage, you get an 8% boost to your speed. And there was barely a match that I didn't get past 2 million potential damage, because new ship, YouTuber, and new ship must shoot new ship. And wow, this ship is great at dodging shells, but unfortunately the armor is what it is, and when you do get hit and it does pin your armor, you do get chunked pretty easily in this ship. But yeah, it's a great ship for its maneuverability. It's very fast, very good at getting on a flank, running down that flank, finding the sides of the enemy ships, and then blapping them with your guns. So, speaking about the guns after I went out of order and talked about survivability and the maneuverability, but whatever. The guns are great. The dispersion can be quite trolly, especially for cruisers. But, I mean, again, it is 330mm guns on a cruiser. So I think that's pretty forgivable. Plus, with the reload module, you do have a 21-second reload time, which is really nice. And the AP on these guns, it's fantastic. Especially if you catch a cruiser that isn't paying attention and either get them the right angle, or if it's a heavy cruiser with enough armor for your shells to arm on, you're going to do like 22k to them easily if those shells arm and hit their citadel. It's fantastic. And against battleships too, that are broadside to you, and even from the edge of the Marseille's range, I was chunking like Yamato's, Musashi's for like 18, 15k, just arming on their upper belt armor. The guns are fantastic on this ship. The turrets are a little sluggish for how maneuverable this ship is. Now, granted, I do have the reload module on with that debuff to the turret's rotation time, but I do also have grease the gears to kind of counteract that. It's true, if you weren't running the reload module and the range instead, your turrets would be a little bit more maneuverable. It would probably keep up with the ship a little bit better, but I think this is probably the most optimal, at least module build for the ship, except maybe slotting out one.
Sounds like he should be a salesman for World of Warships. How maneuverable his ship is, how sluggish the turrets are. But I friggin' walloped them. Holy friggin' crap. Okay, back to the shoe. We got a really big shoe for you today. Oh my. Oh my.
One of the damage con mods for the acceleration mod, maybe. But yeah, the turrets are a little sluggish when you really need to maneuver, especially when it comes to trying to dodge shells coming in at you. Your turret's going to be able to be on target. Turret number 2, by the way, does 360, and that is very cool. I do like that. The gun angles are pretty nice. The Big downside to not having the quad guns is that when you can only get your front 2 guns on target, you do only have 6 guns to bear, which is frustrating, especially considering the tier 9, you could bring 8 guns to bear in a situation when you could only get the front 2 turrets on target. Granted, the Brest only had 2 turrets, but the trade-off for getting the extra gun is that in many situations you can't use 3 of your guns at once. But the angles are pretty good to where you can quickly snap that 3rd turret out, fire it, then get back steeply angled to whatever it is you are shooting at. So that's not too big of a deal, but it is a thing. Alright, so the HE is also pretty good in this ship. As far as what angle to use, if you're shooting at like DDs or steeply angled battleships, of course, keep HE loaded. Most cruisers you're going to want to keep AP loaded. Light cruisers, especially if they're trying to angle, definitely keep AP loaded because you will more than likely blap them unless you're unlucky enough to actually hit their main battery belt. But of course, you run something like Stalingrad or some of the super cruisers and such, of course, then you're going to want to use HE. Either way, the HE and the AP performance are very good on the ship, and you can get by using both. But again, optimally, HE at angled targets or steeply angled targets or bow-in battleships, AP at anything that shows you their broadside. It's nice. It's very nice. If you're used to French AP, you know what I'm talking about here. So big ups there for the shell types, both the AP and HE. No slouch in either department. AA is without DFAA. It was there. It annoyed the CV a little bit, but yeah, nothing spectacular. I'm sure if you run DFAA, of course, then that's going to really push the AA performance up and over. It's decent enough to where if you're with a ship or two, the CV won't really have too many planes coming back. But especially if you run DFAA, you will, of course, be taking more planes out, but definitely not an AA ship. Maneuverability, we already spoke about that in the when I was talking about the armor. But yeah, 34.7 knot space, 20% speed boost on top of that. 14.5 second rudder shift time. Didn't feel as sluggish as I thought it was. I guess, again, I was looking at it from a different mindset, but 14.5 second rudder shift time base isn't really that bad. You could build into the rudder mod and then have a really maneuverable ship there, but I think that's more than satisfactory. Concealment, 11.6 kilometer concealment, that is absolutely great in the ship. That with the speed and the rate of fire of these guns, you can just, again, pick and choose who you want to fight, run away from the rest. It's a fantastic combination on this ship. Alright, so the Marseille. Overall, I would give this ship an 8, almost a 9, like 8.5 out of 10 for the Marseille here. The only reason it's not a 9 is because the armor, it's French armor. You know, half the time, you're going to get hit in the broadside by an 18-inch shell, and you're going to get like 2k damage. Then the other half of the time, you're going to get hit in the stern by like, actually, funnily enough, it was mostly the other French cruisers for me, like the Brest, that would tap the stern of my ship and suddenly they'd Citadel me. You know, it's the French troll armor. If it had a more solid armor scheme that performed more consistently, it would probably be a 9, but it's an 8 for me, 8.5 out of 10 for me. The pros being fantastic 330mm French guns, good velocity, good shell arcs, good reload time, makes up for the dispersion. Dispersion, again, can be wonky, but with a 20-second reload with the reload booster, you ain't got to really worry about that, because it's, okay, had a wonky salvo there, no worries, pop the reload booster, 10 seconds, you got another 9 shells going down range. The ship is very fast. The armor is good enough to where it, again, like if you're angled and they shoot your main belt, you will bounce, but again, it's still kind of trolly, so I'm not sure if that's a pro or a con or just kind of an in-between at the moment. But the cons being that you do have that third turret hidden behind turret number 2, so if you want to get that out, you do have to show a little bit too much skin, and that can get you in trouble sometimes, and that in most other cases you're stuck with just 6 guns on the front of your ship. And she is absolutely coated in 30mm and below armor in most places on the ship, so you are very susceptible to HE spam. Again, it's not only the fires that are going to be a threat to you, because you do have a battleship burn time on this ship, but again, just the sheer pins you're going to be eating from HE. But yeah, other than that, this ship is really fantastic. I really like her. I'm probably going to be playing her a lot in randoms, and even on this stream tonight, because I'm recording this on a Friday evening. But It's a wonderful tech line ship, one that's definitely, in my opinion, worth grinding out. So guys, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, make sure to drop a like, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. We're on our way to...
Okay, I'm not sold yet. Am I going to do a battle in it right now? No, I'm not. I'm going to make a coffee. Maybe do a couple other things, maybe not, and then come right back on. So, coffee time. Then we'll be back live. So I'm going to sign right off now. So you've seen the Marseille. This is Monsieur Sea Lord Mountbatten. He gives a pretty good overview. Do I agree with him? Sometimes. Do I disagree with him? Sometimes. So, without further ado, folks, we're going to sign off for right now, but we will be back live with an actual representation. We'll do a couple actual real-life battles in the Marseille, and you can find out for yourself. So this is Michael J., a.k.a. Swifty, sending you love. Be good, folks. Be safe. And remember, love and peace to everyone. Ciao.